Now we're official again. Part 2 with Julian.
Take two.
Take
With
2.
the fly.
Please
Let's
welcome to
go.
the stage, Julian Think to Fly. Um,
That's me.
Same line.
Gotta say
Okay.
it again.
Does logic work right now or no?
Logic's not working. I can't do it with the call.
That's totally fine. The only thing we really need to do is the VST look on logic. Next. Actually, we're not going into like.
I can send you, like, I just took a screenshot of my mixer real quick with a few of my VSTs because you said you wanted a screenshot.
Yes, this is true.
That is true. So I'm gonna send that to you real quick.
Okay, cool. So, the basic idea that I wanted to give with your VSTs was, as you know, as a producer, there are so many tools out there that could make or break your sound, essentially.
Yeah.
And then there are many tools out there that can fit. Some tools can fit to you more than the tools you're using right now. It all just really
Yeah.
depends. So let's take a look at what you have right here. You got some of these are scrunched up, so I don't know
Yeah,
exactly
so
what they say. You got a lot of EQs, basic EQs.
so for the VSTs, I got Contact, which is just this piano plugin, then Massive, Alchemy, Serum, and then on the right that's Machine, which I use to make my like drum tracks, and then that's like Ultra, I think that's Ultra Reverb, on all the way on the left, and then some channel EQs. Then the one that says like NE, and then Glib, that's another EQ. Span is like a spectrum analyzer. Direction mix is like a direction mixer. Comp is compressor, and then there's a saturation in that big long list of them. And then the like MST EXP is like a stereo expander, and then a limiter over there. This is just one of the projects I'm working on.
Okay, for sure. And what's on your master? Do you have your master like chain on when you mix, or do you do it all after you finish?
It depends. So like when I first start making something, obviously like there's nothing, and I'll start a mix. I usually mix pretty low. Like I'll mix maybe like, so I'm peaking at around like 10 or maybe 8, like 8 to 10, negative 8 to 10. And then once I got something going and I can start thinking about vocals and stuff, I'll put on like a temporary mastering chain, like sort of to see what it is going to sound like when it's mastered. Like I use Ozone, so I have like a maximizer that's pretty low, but like not far enough that it's crushing it, and then a limiter, same thing. So I'm not really pushing it as far as it can go. I'm just like pushing it so I can hear what the sound is gonna sound like mastered as I'm mixing it, and I don't have to turn up like my headphone amp all the way to like hear the mix.
Okay, gotcha. And you have Ozone 5, 6, or 7, or 8?
I have 7.
You have Ozone 7. Okay, pretty decent.
Yeah.
You have the stereo channel on Ozone too?
Hmm? I mean, you mean like the stereo expander and stuff?
Yes.
In a finished master, I use it when I like when I think it'll benefit the mix, but not like as I'm mixing. I feel like it would mess me up if I had it on as I was
Oh
mixing.
yeah, no doubt.
Yeah.
Okay, I got you. I just wanted to know and make sure. Definitely a lot of the channel EQs going on. Do you make all your sounds in Massive? Do you make them, or do you use patches? It's okay if you use patches.
It depends. I mean, usually I used to make every single thing. Now, like if I find a preset and it's really good, I'll use it. But for this one, I kind of have like my own presets that I sort of modify over time to get better or worse. No, for Serum, I make my own basses in Serum. Um, the only one I heavily use presets for is Alchemy, because I just don't know enough about it to like make my own sounds. I always start out with the preset because the sounds that are built into Alchemy are so good.
Yeah, like it's pretty fine to just walk in and just like that's like Omnisphere. People just
Yeah,
go in and grab a sound.
Omnisphere sounds really good. For Massive, it's more like I usually use Massive for simple things. Like I have one track in this that's like just a sine bloop I made real quick. It's like bloop bloop, you know what I mean? Add some reverb. That's pretty simple.
Right.
And then Serum is like I have this thing that I sort of got. I got the waveform from a preset, and then I sort of made my own thing out of it. But it's like a sine, this sort of harmonic sine wave thing where like I put I put an envelope on the wavetable, so it sort of starts out with like double the sine wave, and then as the note plays out, it just goes down to one, and it gives it this weird like harmonic feel.
Yeah, yeah, of course, of course. Small little harmonic compliments.
Yeah,
Is it in the same pitch?
yeah. I mean, it's sometimes it gives it a feeling like it's um I think seven semitones higher, like just like halfway.
So like a
But
fifth?
yeah, yeah, yeah. So sometimes it'll sound like a fifth. But I don't really know how to explain exactly what I'm talking about, but like it sounds like the right note, but it has a harmonic in it that's a fifth.
Okay, which usually does lie in the same key signature, so we can always
Yeah.
just add more width or texture to the sound.
It works the best if I'm doing something in a major key.
Okay, that's I could see that. Fun fact: a lot of deep house nowadays consists of like major fifth intervals to make their melodies. Like
Yeah.
I don't know, but okay. So the idea that I wanted to get with this to look at your EQ shade, or I mean your FX shade, is
Yeah.
just to see like how you're mixing things and just understanding what you're using. So a lot of these, are they native Logic plugins?
Alchemy is native. Obviously, like Serum Massive Contact aren't. The Ultra
Oh
Channel
yeah, of
stuff
course.
isn't. The only thing that's native here are the channel EQs, the compressor, the basic compressors that I'm using on some of those. The direction mix is native. As far as like a lot of the stuff is not native, so the Spectrum Analyzer plugin is from Voxengo. Um, the all the plugins that start with M are from Melda, which has like a bunch of free plugins that are really cool.
Okay. So
So
you're using a
I'm looking,
Melda dimension expander, stereo expansion.
yeah,
Okay.
because there's not really, I haven't really found a good one built into Logic, but I also use I downloaded a good one from Isotope, so I'm starting to use that more too.
Okay. Okay, gotcha. Okay, okay. I will collect this and analyze this picture. So the thing about these plugins, which brings us to the next topic. Oh well, I guess we should do sample overview. What do you use for your samples?
For
Like your percussions.
So for my percussions, I just like scavenge the internet for like stuff, and then I go through all of it and pick like my favorites and put them into a folder, and then I'll sort of design a drum kit in Machine, and I'll take all the samples I have and I'll kind of fine tune them, like shorten down the envelope so it's sounds more transient sometimes, or like add a short little EQ because in Machine you can add individual effects on every sample, stuff like that. But right now I'm using here. I'll just like go through the different stuff I've found.
Okay, so um, if I were to say, do you have like a percussion sample for each like electronic style? Would you say yes? Like
No, not at all. It's all just like what is. I kind of want to make my own sound, and I kind of just use what I think would work the best for that.
okay,
But right now I'm going through this folder. I have like a bunch of different samples I've just downloaded from either different artists or like I have a bunch from Cymatics. That's probably like the biggest one I have because they gave away like 60 gigs of free samples. So like I just downloaded the best, like the brass ones, the impacts and risers, the kicks, the perks and hats, and some of the snares and claps and stuff. And then I have like in this folder I have like some snares from Astronaut. You know Astronaut?
classic.
Yeah, yeah. And then like some old like Boy in a Band snares, and then free like hat samples. I just it's kind of all mixed around. You know, Frequent.
Yeah.
Yeah, I downloaded his album early, so I got this kick and snare kind of sample pack from Frequent. Chuck sent me these kicks from Medicine, so I have those. Um, I got this whole sample pack for free from TM88, like guy who produced EXO Tour Life.
Uh huh.
And then I have a few virtual Riot kicks and snares. Um, some this like weird free. Some producer made this pack that's supposed to be like an XXS Tentacion, like hats and snares, and some Savage told me about it, so I got that. And then I actually have Yutaku's like some of Yutaku's kicks and snares.
Okay, I would say you have like a good range. Do you
Yeah.
have like any Foley stuff, if I may ask? Foley stuff, acoustic drums. Do you have any uh, natural
There's a
hip
lot
hop
of
samples?
there's a lot of decent acoustic drums built into the machine. Like I used to use all my samples from the machine because it comes with tons of samples. I still use a couple, but I realized they're not that great. So as for my main drums, I started using other stuff. But like for if I need an acoustic drum here and there, the machine definitely does the trick, I think. Um, and as for Foley, like there's some pretty decent Foley built into Logic, and I have like a random, I don't know, I just use random stuff. Like I have a pack from, I think it's Erosity. You know that? You know Reese? Erosity?
No, I actually don't.
Okay.
So,
But it's either like Aero City, I don't know. I used to like I first followed him a few years ago, but he made this pack of all like sounds with keys clinking together and stuff like that. But I don't have a lot of like stuff that's really good Foley from nature and stuff like that.
okay, okay. I mean, that not like that has to do with like the answer to your production, but I just wanted to know like everything you have. It's always good to have like everything in a way, um, because though it may be a little chaotic, it allows for more freedom when creating if you have everything under control, and it allows for more experimentation, and that finally is what I wanted to lead into the next topic, which is ability to experiment. So I'm gonna point out some things that I noticed, like, a lot of the productions you sent me have like these really synthetic drums that I'm hearing in like your production.
Yeah.
Though, even though you have like this punk, atmosphere, like this punk vibe, but like this hip hoppy atmosphere and style, I feel like sometimes the synthetic instruments like can be a little too synthetic, in my
Yeah.
opinion, and it kind of takes away from the character that I see you try to approach. So, the ability to experiment in terms of samples basically means like not switching out your samples entirely, but maybe you could try that. But also layering
Yeah.
different soundscapes together to creating a new sound. It might be harder with fully digital samples, but it wouldn't hurt to try to add some of that acoustic flavor to your percussion lines, because it could add and complement the nature of the sound that you're trying to produce. Um, I always, a lot of my friends, they don't like build their kicks that way, but they like to layer their kicks. Um,
Yeah, I've heard of that. I've heard of people who like tried to do that and then kind of get bored of it and just realize they needed better sounds though. So
this is
I don't know.
also true. It's always nice to see how much you can add to your kick, or
I
how much you
used to
can add to your
layer
sample.
stuff a lot more like last year. I would like layer all my kicks, all my snares. I actually stopped doing that recently, but maybe it's like a balance.
No, definitely a balance. I'm not saying like always do it, because some people could just find that one good kick, which you may know of. That situation that happens. You just find the right sample, and you don't need to layer anything.
Yeah.
Um, but just know like it's just like sound designing. Typically, it's like you're adding more layers, and it creates a new frequency, and it's adding differently to the sound, because some of these samples, if you listen clearly, add more, like some of them have more stereo than others, some of them are
Yeah.
more mono than others, so you really got to listen to that and see how they can complement your overall sound. That one stereo sample that's applied to your kick can somehow bring everything together, which is what you got to think about in terms of your experimentation with samples. Um,
Mhm.
and also like experimenting with samples. You know, it doesn't your kick necessarily doesn't even have to come from a kick. Um, it's just about like if the sound has enough low frequency, that could be layered, and then you can get something that's punchier, and then that could be like your new kick. It's just
Yeah.
experimenting with things that fit in the right frequency, in terms of samples. So sound, layering, and frequency are some things that you should really take into mind when experimenting. And then comparison is also super important to make sure that you're confident in what you're doing. Like sometimes you try it out and you're like, honestly, the analog digital kick just fits better. That's fine, but you wouldn't know until you try different tactics.
Yeah, of course.
Uh, and also in terms of VSTs, uh, you know, it's all about. It's not all about, but it's you just want to make sure that you know all these tools that you're working with, and you never know what new tool you could have that can really improve your sound. Like Ozone, for example, it does a lot of the work for you, and there's no problem with that because you still have to fine tune some things. But as long as you understand what it's doing for you, is the most important thing because then you can pretty much build it yourself in that situation. Or like you can use other VSTs that can act like the whole Ozone program. Like you can get your
Yeah.
EQ compressor, stereo expander. It's all the same. Um,
Mhm.
but you know,
Like
what's up?
you're saying like there's stuff in ozone that like what exactly are you thinking of when you say ozone does stuff for you?
You just click a preset, or like you could just click a rack and it'll put it all down for you, and then you just fine tweak everything. Like it has everything you need in terms of a mastery chain. Like it knows what people typically
I've
use.
actually never tried using ozone presets. They're just kind of weird. Like I always do the multi compressor and the maximizer and stuff myself. Like
It's always good to see like other people's, because like other people they got like mastering engineers to do their own presets, so you want to see like what their ear is for when they're programming it and how it applies to your sound. And you
yeah,
once again, the comparison is something that's really important because you know it can a lot of you a long time ago, before I found how I really like to mix, even though I'm not perfect, I used to just experiment with different ozone presets just to see like the different capabilities of your sound once you're done with the project, and just seeing like the outcome of what it could be. A lot of the presets don't usually make them sound better, but sometimes there's that one or two presets that really make you rethink what you're doing, and then you're inspired to like fine tweak something. Um, it all comes with, you know,
yeah,
and that's just experimentation once again. Other examples of experimenting with FX plugins, is like just understand that when you're experimenting with different plugins, just know that these are all coded. They may have the concept, like reverb. This is the concept. We're making a plugin that does reverb. Just know that all these different reverb plugins are coded differently, which means that the algorithms may be different. The effects might slightly be different. It might affect, like, okay, there's some stereo expanders that also compress, and there are stereo expanders that don't compress. They don't tell you this, but you just have to understand that it does.
yeah,
You just gotta understand that they're all coded differently, and some things may be, and they're textured differently too. Like some of these things come with built-in saturators or tubes that could add, you know, extra harmonic to your sound. It's all a matter of how they made it and how you can hear the difference and what science of coding that they put into it. It's all different, and it may work out better for you. So it's always good to just always experiment with different things. Look out online just to test things out, even if they suck. You gave it a chance, because you never
yeah,
know
yeah.
what could be like your asset of plugins. Like I don't really use my default FL plugins as I used to. I still do like the typical EQ, and sometimes stereo expander. But I found like these better compressors that I really like. They're from Ultra Funk, this really old classic.
Ultra funk.
Yeah, Ultrafunk compressors and Ultrafunk FX plugins too. Ultrafunk has a really great stereo expansion plugin that I think appeals most to my, like, that worked best with my sound. I tried Voxengo. You have Voxengo Span, right? I tried
Yeah.
Voxengo dimension expander or whatever it is stereo, and I thought it was just too synthetic of a stereo spreader, and it always just added too much volume and gain, and it just made it sound way too harsh on stereo. And I
Hey,
thought,
wait. You're getting really choppy. I'm not sure if it's me or you though.
hello, hello,
Hi.
does it work now? Is it still choppy?
No, you're getting really choppy. Give me 1 sec.
Hello.
You're the light, you're the night.
Hello? Okay. We're back. We back.
We're
All right.
back.
So,
My fault. It keeps doing this thing where it gets really choppy, and then I have to. My whole audio gets screwed up, and I have to come back.
oh, that's fine. Just say choppy and then redo it, then we're back in.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, just wrapping that up, just experiment with different plugins, effects plugins, because they may appeal to you more than others. Like, I use Ultrafunk plugins a lot, and I actually found them through Savant, the producer, if you remember him.
Yeah, I do.
He like showed these compressors and these other effects that he used to use, and they actually really worked out for me. And turned out that I like those more than any of the others that I had so far. So I tend to use these when recording instruments or when adding stereo, or even the reverb is so unique in my opinion that I stick to that a lot. I often come back to FL reverb, but there's some things that the Ultrafunk reverb could do better in some cases, which is the example of what I wanted to give you. Some plugins, even though they have the same objective, may work better than others.
Yeah.
And for VST plugins, in terms of synthesizers, just try out different things that you feel appeal to you in terms of workflow and sound. Essentially, everything is a synthesizer that you use when making an instrument. Well, not contact, but like the actual like oscillator stuff.
Yeah.
Like some things are just made so complicated. I feel like it just made no sense for them to program like make the interface that way. So
Like which one?
like
For
this
you.
thing that FabFilter made called freaking FabFilter freaking Flex. I don't remember what it was called. FabFilter
FabFilter
Synth.
Flex.
No, FabFilter Synth or something like that. And it's the only synth plugin that they made. But it just looks like the most complicated thing ever. So you have to like warm up to
Yeah.
it and just really take a lot of time to understand it, even though their sounds can be made in like other stuff. It's probably laid
Yeah.
out like that to make other sounds easier, but I wish it would be more step by step. There's this other VST called Synplant. If you've seen Synplant before,
I've heard of it.
this thing is like really weird. Like the sounds are actually pretty decent. A lot of good.
Oh, it looks like a plant.
It's literally a plant. A lot of big producers use this too. It adds a lot of good like space to your sound. I recommend you try it out actually. It's really good. But it just looks so weird. And like the way you create it is like the synth is created. Okay, there's like you click the plant, and
Yeah.
once you go inside to synthesize it, it turns into DNA. So you're looking
That's
at
so
like
weird.
you're looking at a helix, and with each band of the helix, like each arm or like
Yeah.
line inside is a different oscillator and an envelope thing, and you just have to
Oh,
work.
that's-
Yeah, it's really funny, but the sound that it produces is actually really unique, and I feel like a lot of VSTs aren't creating sounds like Synplat is. So you
I have to
should
listen to that. That's crazy.
give Synplat a try. It could definitely add a lot of width, or just maybe have a cool sound that you may have not discovered. That's what. Yeah, I would recommend that one.
That's interesting.
But yeah, just try out new VSTs. Just experiment with them for a while. Just see what can inspire you. And then if it works out, then keep it. If it doesn't, then just toss it away. That's what I did. I just went through a whole
Yeah.
bunch and I just tossed them all away because I just had too much in my list of VSTs that I didn't even use.
Yeah. Feel you.
Um, Yeah.
The
Oh,
sand plant thing sounds so cool though, like growing a plant to
yeah.
make me.
And then when you're playing it, like whatever note you press hits a different like stem or leaf of the plant that you made. It's really weird, but it's
That's
really cool.
that's nice.
Okay, so discussion on the greatest. Okay, so we have like 20 more minutes. Okay, so
Okay.
discussion on favorite artists and sounds. Now, I listened to the artists that you had to be on stage with, from Owl City to Elenium to Lil Uzi Vert. Um,
Yeah.
okay, but I listened to all of them, and I definitely try to understand like what made them so prolific or like so good. So here's the thing that I can see on these guys, and I'll compare them to what I hear from you right now. Owl
Okay.
City. So Owl City, what I noticed from Owl City, first of all, is the composition and arrangement. Owl City knows how to write the intro, the chorus, the hook, bridge, and
Yeah.
then the outro. This is something that's very essential when writing music. Once again, he's very aware of that. That's how he made his hit Fireflies. He built up enough, you know, interest in his arrangement to keep you listening
Yeah.
to the whole thing. The melodic flow is interesting. It's captivating. All these things that he does are things that he thinks about each time. Usually, it's about like a good melody, because it's never like about, oh, big fat, trap drop. It's
Yeah.
it's like pop but electronic, a little trance influenced as well. If you listen to his recent stuff, they're kind of like trance influenced.
Yeah, definitely.
Just about the
What recent stuff did you listen to? Because if you know, like, a lot of Owl City fans, like, just stopped listening to him after Ocean Eyes, honestly. But like, I listen to more of his newer stuff, but not all of it. Like, there's still some stuff that I'm like, I don't know, I just don't really like that.
Lucid Dream is a trance song.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, yeah, that's like the really new stuff. I like that. I like that better than the what's it called? The stuff that was on Mobile Orchestra. If you listen to that album,
I did not. I did not.
yeah, yeah, that's like kind of a flop. That was like 2015, but
As
yeah,
as you can see, Owl City doesn't always make a hit every single song,
yeah,
but his composition style still like remains. There's some really important key elements that he likes to implement, which is one, his uplifting style. He loves his
yeah,
uplifting style, so he sticks with it. Oh, and his tone adds really well to this uplifting style. So
yeah. His new album, I'm like pretty excited for his new album. It's coming out in June, and it's like it's more of a return to like not even a return. It's just like something new, but it's more like for what Owl City's known for. Like he kind of went like in a different direction for like the past two albums, and people were annoyed. You know what I mean?
right.
Because like he didn't stick to. I mean, like I would never be annoyed at someone because they didn't stick to something. It's just like a lot of people felt like it was I don't know, like he just sort of he tried to make a couple country songs. He made this one that was just about like I don't know, like people just didn't really like his last album that much. You know how there's like a whole group of like there's so many producers who are who like Owl City is like their favorite artist and they're super inspired by him and
Yeah.
stuff. And like a lot of them just didn't support his last album or last couple albums at all, like because they just didn't think it was authentic or the same like inspired kind of vibe. Like Nanabe and you know Nanabe?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, yeah, like Nanabe and World like WRLD and like I don't know. I just know like a lot of people are inspired by Owl City, and like there's clearly just like something that's different about the last two albums. Like everyone can hear it. So like when you say he keeps the like uplifting vibe, like I definitely know what you mean. Like that's sort of what makes him Owl City. That's what gives him that vibe.
This is exactly. So the thing is, like I said, how notice how every song he puts out isn't always like a hit in a way. Um,
Yeah,
the thing about that is like a lot of people can be big fans of Owl City, but this guy like he keeps working and working on new music. It could really throw off that fan aspect of you when you're listening to it, because now there's a lot to go on and you could be like, yeah, I love him, and they're like, oh, do you love the new 20 songs he put out? And you're just like, what? And then you get into it, you're like, oh, well, this isn't what I, and then the next 20 songs come out and you're like, okay, well, there's just a lot. It gets overwhelming sometimes, but
mm,
there are still those typical hit songs that he put out that appeal to these newer audiences, but maybe not the same. Like the Unbelievable, and then the Wreck-It Ralph song.
Yeah.
Those two songs also blew up really hard.
Yeah, the Unbelievable song is from Mobile Orchestra. Like that's the one a lot of people thought was like cheesy or like not inspired or whatever. I don't really like have an opinion either way because I know he's an artist, but like my favorite stuff was definitely from Ocean Eyes. Like now I'm kind of looking forward to this new album, see where that goes. But
Right, yeah, that style was way more poppy than anyone was ready for. But regardless, he still kept that consistency, that bright, uplifting sound. And I feel like no matter what, that's what really kept his identity.
yeah, that's true.
Illenium and Said the Sky. These guys, I feel like, are on the same line with each other in terms of sound.
Yeah.
So these guys,
Do you know anything about like the relationship between them?
I don't.
Okay, because I followed them both when there was a point I think where Said the Sky was like the bigger artist. Like now, I'm not like based on just like streams and followers and stuff like that. And I followed them like way back when I was in freshman year of high school. Like, and because they were like best friends and they used to live in Colorado together and like just hang out and make music all the time. So Said the Sky actually got started from like Illenium, and they would just hang out together and like make music, which I thought was really cool. So they're like they come from the same exact sound and they took it in their own separate directions.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Well, that's awesome. See, stuff like that. You know, things work out like that. That's so sick. I wish that could have worked out with me, but no one in Houston does stuff like that. But anyways, Illenium and Said the Sky, I could put them in the same category because they pretty much fit the same sound, and as you know, now they're personal friends, so this makes even more sense. So these guys, they came in at the right time. They came in when this new wave of like explosive, non-dubsteppy sounds actually, you know, like came out. You didn't need to have like this crazy big bass sound design to make a big track and blow up now. And sometimes now it's all about like the big explosive feeling. I'm saying explosive a lot because both of these artists
makes sense. It's a good word.
They're very impactful with their compositions. It's always about that full throttle feeling that you get once you hit the drop.
Yeah.
I feel like this is generally the I listen to a lot of their songs each, and they always have this full big expansive drop that's going on, filled with melodies and lush atmospheres. It's something that's very consistent with them, and this is why they're playing festivals today. This is why they're, you know, always doing like these big environments, because their music is just as big as the environment that they're playing in.
Yeah.
Can you imagine them playing like this really big stuff in a small room? I don't think so.
No.
But I mean, that would be pretty dope, honestly. But still,
It would be.
makes sense. Big sound, big atmosphere. Illenium. This name is so like grand, and like the music fits.
It's like
Millennium, dude. And then the logo is like this eagle, dude. It has this crazy look, and then like the music is just as grand as the name and the look. So like this all works together with his sound. You know, this it is also uplifting. I didn't really hear that much dark coming from Illenium. It's pretty bright, not too bright as not as bright as Owl City, but still pretty bright in my opinion. Or like captivating with emotion, like evocative stuff. So like there's a lot that's coming from that. Usually I feel like the big impact that people are getting from this type of music style is like, how energetic is it? Like in terms of like how much energy are they getting from it? That's what they want. This is something that I can definitely tell is happening in this new wave of music. Sometimes you don't even have to like compose like properly. Sometimes your notes don't even have to be right. As long as it has the energy, then you're sold. I'm into this, dude. It's like they just want to get energy and jam. I know a guy that listens to a lot of EDM music, and he doesn't even like care about the melody. He just cares that if it has a drop and it goes hard, aka mixed properly as well too, then he's down for it. And I'm like, okay, well, I can see what's going on here. Once again, people just like the energy. Same thing with Said the Sky. Of course, they have their unique things that they do that set them apart from everybody else. But typically, it all seems like it's surrounding itself around the climax. And that's the audience that they're getting. It's a very active audience. Just go into an office. These people are like loving this stuff. I'm a school teacher. They love this type of stuff, actually. These little kids, they know about these artists. It's so crazy.
They do?
They know about Marshmello.
Oh yeah.
They're like, Alexa, Google Alexa, play Alone by Marshmello. And I'm like, what the fuck?
Yo.
I know. It's
That's
so weird. The times are changing. But yeah, there's, they're getting to know this type of stuff. So if the kids are getting into it, then you already know the adults are into it. Well, that varies. But in this type of stage, I feel like the adults are still into it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's what I can say about Set the Sky and Millennium. They keep this consistent impacting grand style going on. Set the Sky, like Think to Fly, you feel like you're in the air. It's super uplifting. It just matches.
Yeah.
Just matches. And the mixing is also big and expensive too. And Lil Uzi Vert. Okay, well, I mean, it was just catchy, dude. It was just a really catchy song.
Which songs did you listen to?
I listened to TM88 produced Push Me Off the Edge. Now, I actually don't know much about how Lil Uzi Vert kickstarted his career. If you do know, please share the information. But
He's from Philly. I don't know. He just like he's a rapper. He was just kind of grinding for a long time out of Philly, like making songs, making mixtapes. He's worked with like producers like Zaytoven, Metro Boomin, stuff like that. I don't know. He just started releasing music, got some features, got that energy and a like personality going.
I
Kinda
feel like
never looked back.
is he like one of the rappers that came from this wave of like Adetta Badetta Badetta style type rap?
uh,
He doesn't rap like that though.
no, I don't. What do you mean, like Migos?
Like the triplet rap thing.
Triplet rap thing is like. I feel like that's kind of old, like a few years ago, right?
Right,
Unless
so,
I'm
like-
thinking of something like Future is sort of like that.
Right. I was just wondering if that's what really kick-started his career.
I honestly don't really know what kickstarted his career. I have no idea.
Regardless, what I can see is okay. So what I can see, I'm clicking around, I'm listening.
He also switched styles a little bit. He used to make stuff that was a lot brighter, and then he like went through a breakup, and like his new album, Love Is Rage 2, is sort of like a breakup album. Some of it's a lot darker.
Okay, I see. Okay, well, what I can say about Lil Uzi Vert is, yeah, like the extravagant wordplay that really boosts him up. I can't really explain a lot of the rap culture because they always get a million plays each song. So like,
Yeah.
it's really hard to see what really blows them up. So I like to see about what the big blow up song is. This is like 41 million is like 410,000 plays for an electronic producer, and 10 million is like 50,000 for electronic producer. That's how I like to see it as.
Yeah, hip hop's like definitely the biggest genre right now.
Yeah, I'm just like,
A lot of people will just listen to like whatever hip hop is like hot right now and not even care about like whether they like it or not, which I think is annoying. And that's definitely something that happens. But I also think that like some of the hype is legitimate. Like some of the guys in the game right now are like better than some people give them credit for. You know what I mean?
yeah,
So it's definitely a mix. And they just get that many views because it's super hyped up right now, and they have the energy everyone's looking for, like you said.
also like the club culture is actually, it's always been thriving, and the more music that facilitates in clubs, the more people are going to pick it up. The more that works. Upbeat hip hop rap music is always played in clubs, by the way.
I feel like people like yeah. I feel like people like Uzi are successful because like he like raps. He still raps about like things like money and drugs and stuff like that, which appeals to some people. But then he also has like some melodic stuff going on and some other imagery other than just that. Like he talks about being from another planet and like turning the world upside down and all this stuff. Like that gives it some interesting imagery other than just like talking about money. Right.
Essentially, what usually happens is that they get a project out. They have like a few songs, and then they get like this project out, and it's mixed and mastered properly. And
Yeah.
once that happens, then the traction usually comes out for the rapper, and it really shows if they're worthy enough or good enough to be put up there. I really don't understand the truest skill asset for hip hop and rap, but I do know is usually after they go and get their stuff studio produced, things usually start to pop off. Like
Yeah.
if it's commercially ready, then it'll qualify.
Mm.
But the thing is, like, I'm listening to people like Samad Savage, and which is
Yeah.
this is a guy that I use to actually compare your new music to. Um, his stuff is like mastered pretty well too. But I think the fact that he's like actually trying a lot harder is the thing that's not getting him as much exposure. Like,
What do you mean?
I
Like,
feel like
you mean he's trying to master his own stuff?
no, not even in terms of like his rap ability and his production and like his style. Like I feel like if you're gonna try being that creative, then it's not even gonna do that well for you. Like you have to like rap or do stuff in like that style, and like if you're gonna be creative, you have to really stay in that style, but try something different, like a little different. But if you're gonna be like creative, like Samad Savage, like he loves how there's a lot of synth like people in the scene that produce for him, and
Yeah.
getting that scene involved can be.
Samad's definitely different. Like, there are a lot of rappers, even just like locally, that are sort of more like clout rappers, I call them. Like, they just like not. And that doesn't even mean like their music has no substance. Like, I enjoy clout rappers, but they're clout rappers. Do you understand like what I'm saying?
Yeah,
And then Samad is more like a lyrical rapper, you know?
exactly.
Like there are a lot of rappers who just like don't even call themselves rappers. They're like, yeah, I'm a pop star. I'm not a like, you know what I mean? But like Samad is definitely less about being a pop star and more about just being like raw and like lyrical.
Exactly. That can be sort of. I don't know why it's distasteful for a lot of people in the hip hop scene. It's probably because they don't want to care that much about the. Once again, it just comes to the demographic. The easier it is to get into it, the less like serious or less complex it is. The more it's easy to. It's easier to digest because it's
Yeah.
less complex. But I mean, it all depends on the typical style as well, like the culture. They really care about like this similar soundscape culture, and it's slightly evolving now. They're like adding more aggressive stuff. They're adding like guitars back in again, as you know.
Yeah.
But
Like Lil Peep.
but steadily, not everyone is shifting their style.
Yeah. There's some things you don't even notice though. Like I found out that the song Rockstar by Post Malone, they used a guitar in that. I didn't even notice.
I did not even notice that either. What the heck?
It was like a weird guitar, but it's still a guitar.
Okay, so what I'm. Oh, sorry, but I wanted to move on to how I think about you. Understanding the artist succession, I was pretty much looking at the artists and talking about their succession in a general way. But, like,
Yeah.
this is without, like, marketing and promo and networking and all that stuff. This is just what I feel like creates their succession by putting out on their catalog. They have a similar sound. They're sticking to that sound. They understand their purpose, and they just go with that purpose.
Yeah.
And that consistency appeals to the audience because they're like, man, I want to feel that same impact again. They do it, a different type of styles, different type of song, boom, same impact, a lot of views. Once you get the mixing down, all you have to do is just execute the idea in a different
Yeah.
way. So, all those artists, even Owl City, he has that vocal style, brings you in, happy, uplifting, boom, that's his job. Millennium Set the Sky, very big, climatic, climax, that's his job. Uzi Vert, facilitating these different lyrics to the club culture, that's his job. So it all works out in succession to these guys. I haven't seen them really branch out of their style once they, figured it out. So
Yeah.
that's something that, a good pattern of succession. And how this appeals to you or how this can relate to you is it's just to help you think about, like, if you are pursuing this in a career mindset, just understand that you can change, but just realize that a lot of the people aren't adapted to change.
Yeah.
But this is why it's important to figure out what you like, so you could always make what you want to make. Like Tennyson, their first album, was actually not that appealing to a lot of people. It was just some ambient beat album, but
Yeah.
they were experimenting a bit more, and they kind of figured out some things that they liked and things that they knew that people liked. So they figured out something that they would always like to make and would always appeal to the audience. So now whatever they make, they know appeals to the audience and appeals to them, which gives them the most freedom because they figured out this perfect hybrid style. And I think that's something that's very important when it comes to writing, or succeeding as in a career. This isn't the most linear thing, but this is just one of the ways that you could do it.
Yeah. So basically, like, you should find, like, be true to yourself and make something that reflects, like, your own energy, so you can, like, recreate that in the future without changing. Something like that. Like, you can if you, like, the goal is to be consistent and make what people are going to expect. But if you don't want to change and have to, like, lose all your supporters, then you should just start out, like, making something that you're genuinely interested in.
You should, yeah. If you don't have that many supporters, just start off with experimenting with yourself, and then once you know, like, you will know a song that will, like, come off and appeal to them more than the others. You should really have that come into account in terms of a career perspective, because you could capitalize on that, figure out what you like most about that, figure out what were the most integral parts of that production, and then take those integral parts and then apply that to your newer stuff. So, because you enjoyed making that, and if you didn't enjoy making that, I'm not saying make it then. Like, don't do it if you really didn't care about the song. But I'm starting to think, like, why did you put it out if you really didn't care about it?
Yeah.
So like me, I'm putting every single song I put out, I do care about it to an extent. Well, the only song I actually don't like anymore is the first song I put out, Flowers, on my catalog. I hate that song, but I'm with this new EP. That's coming out. I'm just telling people, hey, that sound is like not. This is the new me. Forget about the old me. And from that project there on out, I'm going to be letting people know throughout with the music that this is where I'll be going from here on out. You can hear the integral parts that I took from the older stuff into the new EP. These styles are different, by the way. They're not consistent styles, but I'm taking very important parts that really made the production of the last songs, and I'm putting them into new things, like my guitars, my vocals, my bright synths choice. I don't choose, like, really aggressive sounds. So, like, that's all in there, but the styles are different. But because I have these integral parts that are so, like, important to the character, I'm able to do that. So that's kind of what the mindset I want you to have as well. You're able to do things as long as you have your important things, like important parts. Because if you put out a song like this that you've been making, like Balcony or these other songs that you've written, and then you end up completely switching to, like, full on, well, you could actually merge that into hip hop trap. But what if you just start doing country all of a sudden?
Yeah.
It's over. No, everyone's going to be like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
So just keep that in mind. You can change, but as you just know that you have to include other things with change. You can't just change on the spot like that.
Yeah.
And then once you figure out what you enjoy making, just keep going on with that sound. As long as you know the pattern. Like, the only guy that I know, well, even Kid Cudi, because Kid Cudi had some pretty weird transitions, but regardless, his voice, his classic voice and that weird guitarist thing he did kind of stayed prevalent throughout his projects.
Kid Cudi is the guy who made Day and Night.
Yeah, Day and Night, and then he made, like, one of the worst albums of all time, like 10 years later. But just know that, like, he still has his character because of his voice and all that. Just know what's most powerful with you. Usually voices are the most powerful because no one could replicate your voice.
Yeah, that's true.
So yeah, I mean, once again, going back to Tennyson, people always want to be are always influenced by them because they're so easily making these jazz compositions, these free form, non-heavy but very nicely mixed, very wide, expansive. Even the mix down can create a character, like Jay Kutch. If you've listened to Jay Kutch,
yeah, I do. He produced a beat for Samad one time.
Right. And so, like, he has this very specific mixing styles, like Ramzoid as well. They have these specific mixing styles that give them character without even the music talking, just the sound you could identify. Yeah. So, just stuff like that. creating the identity and creating the consistency with that identity.
Wait, say that again.
Creating the identity and then creating the consistency with that identity.
Yeah, and like the longer you do it, the more
The
your
longer you do it, the more
identity starts to come together.
right, and it builds like this wall. None Donald Trump reference, but it builds like this wall
Yeah.
of strength that you have. So if you do something that's drastic, this wall it won't break down at at the same time. It might like crack, it might like break from the top, but it won't completely collapse. Does that make
Yeah.
sense?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, so yeah, there's that, and that's pretty much producing a sound that appeals to you. Understanding the online platform and local platform is just like how these sounds that you're creating really reflect. In terms of SoundCloud, I feel like SoundCloud, Spotify are the best places to go and try it out, even YouTube. But local platform, I want you to tell me what your city is into. I want you to do some research and tell me what people have been listening to. If it's EDM, what type of EDM? If it's more electronic, what type of synth pop electronic? If it's rap, tell me what type of rap. I want you to do some work and just figure out how you would feel expanding in your city. Have you played a live show before, right? You have? Do you have one coming up?
No, I've DJ'd before, but I've never like played a live show as Think to Fly.
Okay, you DJ'd as Things to Fly though, right? Or
Yeah.
Does that?
Yeah, but like it wasn't. No one really knew anything about me. I could have made my name anything. It's not like they came for Think to Fly. You know what I mean?
Okay, understandable. Just check out the demographic, do some research, and then save it up and write it down. And just present it to me on what you really think like the demographic is, and just try, we could see what we can do based on the knowledge that on the information that you got.
Yeah, cool.
Online platform, I can pretty much like figure it out because I'm on the online platform as well. But
Yeah.
local, gonna have to do a little bit of work. And what else I want you to do is, I don't know like all the time you have, but if you could quickly do it, well, because of your time, just try going out there and just try looking up some other VSTs that you could try. And
Yeah.
just-
I will. As far as like people listening to stuff in Montclair, it's mostly like definitely rap and hip hop is dominating. And then if you go, it's funny because in Montclair it's like all rap and hip hop, and then if you go like a couple towns over, like a little bit further away from the city, everyone just listens to rock music and like no one wants to hear hip hop. And here, like that's the only thing they listen to. So
That's actually really funny. What the heck is this segregation?
yeah, I know. It's so weird. It's like I have a friend who moved to this town, Montville, like just less than an hour away. And when you go there, like they're literally playing country music on the aux and rock music, mostly rock music, not even country music. But in Montclair, I'm talking like teenagers, like people our age, you know what I mean? Like not, how old are you?
I'm 21.
You're 21, so like you're not a teenager, but you're kind of close. So like, you know what I mean? Like everyone, like most people, yeah, not even 20. Like people I hang out with in their 20s, they're like teenagers. Everyone's listening to rap and hip hop.
Okay, gotcha. That's kind of okay. Well, just do a little bit more research and just try and see like any electronic artist that is doing something in Montclair. You can fit in with that rap hip hop vibe though, because with new stuff. But I just want to see like, is there this taste that's going on somewhere?
I actually noticed that a lot of times my music appeals more to like hip hop heads than like people who are super into electronic music, especially since I haven't gotten like super good at mixing and stuff yet. Like when I get better, I don't know what's gonna happen, but like since I haven't, like as in terms of like whatever songwriting I have going on and stuff like that, like people in hip hop are actually like more into it from what I've seen. But maybe that's just because there are more people who are into hip hop in Montclair.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, so I'm writing that down. Very popular with the youth.
Yeah.
All right. So,
Hip hop.
oh, what's up?
there's also a divide sort of between, again, like people who are into just like pop star hip hop, you can call it, and like conscious hip hop or like lyrical.
Like pop, hip hop, like Drake.
Yeah, sure, Drake. Well, no, actually, Drake's the perfect example. You know how he just put out that two song kind of single EP thing.
Yeah.
So God's Plan would be more like the pop star hip hop, and the other one would be more like the lyrical hip hop. That's like perfect example. Drake, because Drake can kind of do both.
Okay. Okay. Dang, they're so like picky over there.
Yeah.
Well, okay. Okay. I wrote that down, so I'm gonna think about that, and I'm gonna do my own research on Montclair a bit, see what's going on, what's popping,
Yeah.
like see what pops up on in like my state, and see what comes up. But anyways, that pretty much wraps it up. This was just like to help, just re-give you the idea of experimentation can usually bring positive results.
Yeah.
Understanding how like okay, so there's experimenting and then there's keeping control. So with yourself, we're still starting out with this new style. Experimentation is very important, and I wanted to show you the feature of that, which is looking at the artists that you follow and understanding how they're maintaining their careers and their styles.
Mhm.
So that's pretty much the synopsis of this whole meeting. Definitely do please check out some more things that are going on in your city. Check out some new VSTs. Check out some new styles of layering, and just get back to me and see how that all applies.
Yeah, definitely. I'll get back to you.
Next week,
Yeah, that's definitely a good idea.
we're gonna get head on. It's a vocal and shit. You said you have you've never been in choir or anything like that.
No, just YouTube tutorials
All right,
and
so
practice.
we're gonna get into that shit for real. Like next week, it's gonna get real with your
Let's
voice.
get it.
Let's get it.
Let's get it.
Fucking pump. Okay. But yeah, all right. So let me save the video recording.